his NCAA brackets. We're going to start with the first four.
Oh.
John, the first game is Manhattan versus Hampton. Who do you want? Who is it?
Manhattan.
Manhattan. Okay. The next game is Ole Miss versus BYU.
BYU.
The next game is North Florida versus Robert Morris.
North Florida.
The next game is Boise State versus Dayton.
Boise State.
All right, now we're going to get into the 68 teams, and you're going to have to pick slowly, okay? We have the first game is Kentucky
versus Cincinnati.
It's going to be Kentucky versus Manhattan because you just picked it up there. So who's going to win?
Kentucky!
The next game is Cincinnati, Purdue.
Cincinnati.
The next game is West Virginia, Buffalo.
West Virginia.
The next game is Maryland, Valsparo.
Valsparo.
Okay. Next game is Butler, Texas.
Texas.
Next game is Notre Dame, Northeastern.
Both.
You can only pick one.
Yeah, that one.
Tell me.
Notre
Dame.
Notre Dame. Sorry.
Next game is Wichita State, Indiana.
Indiana.
Next game is Kansas, New Mexico.
Kansas because they're birds.
Okay. All right, next bracket. Wisconsin, Coastal Carroll.
Coastal Carroll.
Okay. Oregon, Oklahoma.
Oregon.
Arkansas, Wofford.
Wofford.
North Carolina, Harvard.
North Carolina.
Xavier
or
BYU.
BYU.
Baylor, Georgia State.
Georgia State.
VCU versus Ohio State.
Ohio State.
Arizona versus Southern Texas.
Arizona.
We're going to come over here.
Right
This
here.
is the East. Villanova versus Lafayette.
Villanova.
North Carolina versus LSU.
LSU.
UNI versus Wyoming.
Wyoming.
Louisville versus UC Irvine.
Louisville Cardinals.
Providence versus Boise State.
Boise State.
Oklahoma versus Albany.
Albany.
Michigan State versus Georgia.
Michigan State.
Georgia versus Belmont. I'm sorry, Virginia versus Belmont.
Virginia.
Duke versus Northern Florida.
Duke.
San Diego State versus St. John's.
St. John's.
St. John's. Utah versus San Fran. SF Austin.
SF Austin.
Okay. Georgetown versus Eastern Washington.
Eastern Washington.
SMU versus UCLA.
UCLA.
Iowa State versus UAB.
Low State.
Iowa versus Davidson.
Davidson.
Gonzaga versus North Dakota State.
North Dakota State. Yay!
That was the first round.